Tawheed. Don't be shy in seeking knowledge. It's good for people like Ali, who live in the West. They could, when they Western passports, and every other time they go to the West. And they stay there a month or two enjoying the weather, making some money, which is incorrect because the Prophet ﷺ said anybody migrates from any land of kufr to land of Islam, then it is forbidden for him to remain. He can visit, no problem, but he cannot remain more than 3 days. More than 3 days, you know? So if you migrate from the land of kufr or a land of bid'ah, where you cannot fulfill your deen correctly, to somewhere where Muslims, people of Tawheed and Sunnah are, and you are there to fulfill your deen easily, then if you need to go for any reasons to your original land for visiting relatives or business or whatever, no problem, but not to stay longer than 3 days. You have to leave after 3 days. Okay? Like, this is second benefit. Yeah? So we have the first benefit that he shortened. Like the second is that he shortened because he migrated. Migrant does not belong to that land anymore. Like the third is
we should not stay in that country again more than.
Excellent, that's the third. And the fourth, I didn't say it yet, but think of it. Think of it. Shortening in travel has no limited days. Has no limited days. Because in the fiqh issues, fiqh schools, there are big differing on, say, 15 days, some say 19 days, some say can have the traveler permits, like breaking the fast, like shortening the prayer. Okay? When the traveling is cut, when you decide to resign, I am today in Sierra Leone, a traveler. Ali is a traveler. Ali is Sierra Leone, but he is a traveler because he did not decide to resign. He just came for a few days and going back. So he's a traveler. Okay? So when you have the intention to resign, whether you belong to that land or not, but you decided to reside there, then you are not a traveler any longer. No? So this is the fourth issue, fourth benefit. And the fifth, what is the fifth? The fifth is the benefit, the practical benefit you had. What it is? It is done, what we've done now, that the traveler can leave the residence. No problem. Because in some schools, like in Indian continent, they don't accept that. They don't accept the traveler leave the residence. They say no. His prayer is naqis. His prayer is naqis, short. But the reason his prayer is kamil, full. Because this one, the traveler does not pray what? Complete, and he does not pray sunnah, the rawatib, before and after. But the resident, he does. So they say, oh, he's more perfect. That's wrong. That's wrong. Who is perfect now here? No one is perfect than the other. Everyone is doing what he has to do. Traveler should take the privilege Allah gave him, permission Allah gave him, to shorten and not to pray the rawatib, except for Fajr. And the resident is perfect because he praying full and he's praying the rawatib. So we cannot say this one is better than this one or this one is better than this one. Like who leads? The ruling of leading the prayer remains the same, traveler or resident. the one has more Quran leads. If they are equal, the one has more Sunnah leads. If they are equal, then the elder in Islam. Or if they are migrants, then the one who migrated before that. And like that. Have any question before we go to the Aqidah?
No.
No.
You make mention of
But they need to hear you.
if you are a traveler,
Yeah,
you just have to shorten the prayer.
yeah.
Before after you pray, you decided to pray two rakah. But if you decided to complete before after, is it correct or not?
Good question. A traveler wants to pray by his own, not as following resident imam. Okay, he wants to pray full. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna Allah yuhibbu an tu'ta rukhasuhu kama tu'ta azaimuh." Indeed, Allah likes that his slaves accept his permissions, his permits, his gifts, as he likes that they fulfill his obligations. So they are equal. Now Allah Ta'ala gives you something. And you say, no, I don't want to. Is this something good or bad? Ask him. Allah gives you something. You say, no, I don't want. Is this something good or bad?
Bad.
You are hesitating. You don't know. It's good. No, it is not good at all. Not good at all. If your father gives you something, and you say, no, I don't want it. Is it good?
No.
If it is not good with your father, is it good with Allah?
No.
So it is not good. So Allah gave you this gift from Him. So use it. If you don't want to use it, then when you are a traveler in Ramadan, then don't break the fast. Because it is the same permission. Allah permit you to break the fast whether you find hardship or not. And Allah gave you permission to shorten the prayer when you are a traveler, whether it is hard or not. Now, you got it? Have any other question? Yeah, Bismillah. Start. You have a question?
Sheikh, this ruling of shortening the prayer, to what distance is it limited?
Jay, we said there is no limitation in
The distance.
no, we didn't say distance. We didn't talk about this.
In the days.
And days.
In days.
And time frame, no limitation. Exactly same thing in distance. As Sheikh Islam Taymiyyah said in value 22 of Fatawa, that the Prophet ﷺ did not limit or travel distance or days. But whatever custom, the custom of the people considering travel is a travel. And this is differing from one place to another, from time to time. For example, Ali may know that in the past, for example, in the UK, they consider Reading from London as a travel. Today, Reading is almost part of London, so it's not a travel. It's not a travel any longer. People there do not consider, how we know, when they want to, in the past, when they want you to go from London to Reading, they say goodbye to everyone. And they carry with them whatever the traveler needs. Today, no, because it's not because they have transportation, but because it is now not a travel longer. It's very, very close. And he knows, Ali again, knows as he lived in Riyadh 19 years, that when he came first, some places like Kharj was a trouble to the people of Riyadh and Kharj. Today, Kharj is not a trouble any longer. No, because it became closed, the buildings expanded, the cities expanded, Mecca and Jeddah. Why Sheikh Muhammad al-Banna rahimahullah told us that in the very early days when he came first to Saudi, was young, he died in his 94, 95 something. He said when we came those days, Jeddah, Mecca used to be cut in one full day. One full day. By car, not by foot, by car. Imagine, because it was very far from one another and the roads were very hard, very difficult, sandy. They used to push the car most of the distance. Huh? So it was a long journey. Today, you go buy a sandwich from Mecca and come back. That's it. Ali knows that people go from Jeddah to Mecca just to say hello to someone and come back. It's very, very short distance today, you know, because the cities expanded, you know, and even the scholars who used to say that, or the scholars who say it is measured by the kilometers as the day and night of travel. As in the hadith, they say they calculated it equals 83 kilometers. Even them days, Jeddah and Mecca, from center to center, did not used to be 83, was 76, something like that. But they still considered it travel, because people, when they want to go from Jeddah to Mecca, they prepare like one going from Jeddah to New York. No difference. It's a travel. It's a travel. You know what I mean? Medina to Mecca, the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba, when they went for Hajj, they cut it in 10 days. Today, it's a fraction of a second, but it's still travel. Why? What is the difference here? Here, the difference is not the distance. It is the transportation. Today, one can go from Jeddah to London and return on the same day if he finds flight. If he book early, if he takes Saudi Airlines, which goes and returns the same day, he can go, land and come back easily, same day. But this is still travel. Why? Because London and Jeddah are not close. They are so far from each other. You know what I mean? So the criteria of considering travel that permits shortening and breaking the fast is not the distance, is not the time, but it is, as Sheikh Muhammad said, the custom of the people of that land. You know, custom of the people of that land. Maybe in some areas in Africa, because of the hardship of travel, maybe smaller distance than Jeddah and Mecca still considered travel. Maybe, I say maybe. In some places, because I've been around Africa, East and West, and I saw places, example, we traveled from Ejra in Ghana to Abidjan in Ivory Coast by car, and that is only 250 kilometers. This distance is shorter than the distance between Mecca and Medina, but we cut it in 1 day and 1 night. 1 day and 1 night, because the road, and everyone, when we said that we are going to Abidjan, oh, Abidjan, you're going to Abidjan. To them, it's something far. When they told me it's 250 kilometers, I did not even prepare for travel, because they said this is short distance. But when I ended up in Abidjan next day, I said it was a hard journey. That was a hard journey, you know? So it depends on the custom of the people of that time, that area. Maybe in the past it was. Today it is not in the same area. Maybe it is still same distance, but in different area considered travel, but here is not considered travel. So it depends on the custom of the people. I don't know if we still have time. We take questions today. Like 12.
Okay, sure. Now, for the traveler, You mean you have to pray 2 rakah, that the 4 rakah, you have to short it to 2 rakah.
Yeah.
Did he have to read, to recite both two after Fatiha, he recite Surah, or the first rakah, he said Surah and Fatiha and Surah, or the second one on the Fatiha?
Right, good question. I'm a traveler and you are resident. Is it?
No.
Right. If we both pray next to one another, Dhuhr, he led the Dhuhr prayer. You and I, you are praying 4 rakah, and I am the Imam, and you are the Ma'mum. Yes, I will pray 2 and you will pray 4, right? You and I, in the first 2 rak'at of yours, which is mine only, recited only Fatiha without adding any other surah. Is the salah valid or invalid?
This valid.
Why?
Because reciting Surah is Sunnah.
Excellent. So that's the answer. It is sunnah. It is sunnah. If you are a traveler or not a traveler, if you do the extra Quran, that is good of you. If not, then no harm on you. Salah is still valid.
And my last question is about the tashahhud.
No.
Now I'm praying Sunnah 2 rak'ah.
Mm.
Do I have to recite tashahhud only, or I have to add Salat Ibrahimiyya?
2 rak'ah?
Yeah, Sunnah. I'm praying 2 rak'ah Sunnah. Maybe Tahiyyat al-Masjid. Should I recite only?
Like when you are praying 2 rak'ah, Tahiyyatul Masjid or anything, 2 rak'ah only, you intend to do 2 rak'ah. This tashahhud, what is it called? Tashahhud al-awwal or tashahhud al-akhir?
الأول.
Is this awwal?
No.
So there is another one?
No. التشهد الأخير 2 ركعات.
I'm praying 2 rak'ah.
Okay, you are praying 2 rak'ah.
No.
This tashahhud, because the tashahhud has 2 names.
No.
Tashahhud al-awwal, tashahhud al-akhir. Now this one, it comes under which category? Tashahhud al-awwal or al-akhir?
Akhir.
طيب al-akhir, how you do it? In the 4 rak'ah. How you do the akhir? Where you stop?
Yes,
Salat Ibrahimiyya.
It's not the matter of how many rak'at you do. Because Maghrib, you are not doing 2 or 3 or 4. You are doing 3, which is different from 2, different from 4. But you're still doing it on the 3rd full. Why? Because it is tashahhud al-akhir. Akhir means nothing after it except salam. So all tashahhud in any prayer, the tashahhud that followed by salam, you have to do it complete. The tashahhud that followed by another pillar, another rak'at, that you shorten it.
نعم يا شيخ.
طبعا different opinions on Salah Ibrahimiyya. Some ulama say that you have to say it even tashahhud al-awwal. Based on the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever doesn't send salah on me, then his salah is invalid. But this opinion is abrogated, or it's not the proper one. But there is an opinion says like that. They say even in the 4 rak'ah, in the first tashahhud, you still have to do the Salah Ibrahimiyya. But to be honest, it's based on understanding, not on clear wording.
Still in the area of shortening the prayer for the traveler, is it for all the prayers or just some of them? Like we have the subh, the dhuhr, the asr, maghrib, and isha.
No, the shortening is for the 4 rak'ah. Only. You shorten the subh what? 1 rak'ah? You shorten maghrib what? 1.5? How you do 1.5? It's only for the 4. For the 4 that you can shorten to 2. But other than that, no.
نعم شيخ. أحسن الله إليك. هل يوجد فرق بين الإخلاص والتوحيد؟
الفرق موجود لكن ليس كبير ويرجع إلى المعنى. يعني مثلا لما نقول التوحيد هو إفراد الله بالعبادة. والتوحيد ينقسم إلى أقسام 3: توحيد الربوبية، توحيد الألوهية، توحيد الاسم. عندما نتكلم عن الإخلاص
إخوة أن يستفيدوا نبين لهم.
ويبين لهم. أنا دائما عندي سياسة، إذا سئلت بالعربي أجيب بالعربي، سئلت بالإنجليزي أجيب بالإنجليزي، سئلت باللغتين أجيب باللغتين. طيب اسألوا بالإنجليزي
نعم يا شيخ.
ولا بالكوري وشوف أنا أعرف كوري.
نعم. Is there a difference between Tawheed and Ikhlas?
As I said, علماء say بينهما عموم وخصوص. يعني the meaning between them is يعني joined between general and specific. When we talk about Tawheed, we are talking about general aqidah. General aqidah. That's why we have Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed al-Asma al-Sifat. When we talk about Ikhlas, Ikhlas negates minor and major shirk. Because the person can still be Muslim and muwahid, but he has done minor shirk, such as swearing by other than Allah. When someone catch an oath by other than Allah, he says, one Nabi, that's minor shirk, okay? But it does not take him out of Tawheed. Does not take him out of Tawheed. Showing off, also minor shirk, as in the hadith, when he said, أخوف ما أخاف على أمتي الشرك الأصغر، فسئل عنه فقال الرياء، لكن قال العلماء يسير الرياء، slight رياء, showing off. And he gave example, the man may pray and then someone comes who he respects, then he purifies his salah to kind of pleasing that man instead of pleasing Allah. So he is not out of Islam. He's not out of Tawheed, but he has harmed the Tawheed. He has minimized his Tawheed. So that is the umum al-khusus. When we say ikhlas, we are talking about a person who's worshipping Allah, but he is not fully sincere to Allah. He has some slight thing, Nah? And that's what Ibn Mas'ud said, وَلَيْسَ مِنَّا إِلَّا, when he spoke about طيرة. طيرة contradicts ikhlas. طيرة, you know طيرة?
No.
The omelet. So he said, and no one of us free of it except that Allah forgives. Nah? So Tawheed is general. Whoever contradiction, that's out of Islam. Ikhlas is part of Tawheed, but it could be minimized and could be fulfilled fully. When it is minimized, it is not necessarily that it expels the person out of Islam. You got it?
No, ya Sheikh. The Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam says we should follow the muaddin when he's doing adhan.
No.
Now, is it the same with the iqama?
نعم, many ulama said it is because the Prophet ﷺ said بين كل أذانين دعاء دعوة مستجابة. He said between every two adhans there is an accepted dua. طيب, what are these two adhans? Adhan of Fajr and Dhuhr, Adhan of Dhuhr and Asr? لا, the adhan and iqam, they call it adhan as well. They call it adhan. But the first one adhan, because it is a declaration to the people outside that it's time for, or the time for beginning of Salah. Iqama is for people inside to call them to stand up and straight up their goals and get ready for starting the Salah. So between the Adhan and Iqama, the dua is accepted, and that's why the ulama said the repetition after Mu'addin in Adhan and in Iqama gives you the same reward. If you repeat after the muaddin in the adhan or in the iqamah, this will yani, gives you the same reward. And to practically understand it, look at this. Who is the one hates the adhan? Huh?
Shaitan.
Shaitan. And in the hadith it says what? When the muaddin calls the adhan, the shaitan runs away, putting his index finger in his ears and make a lot of frat, so he does not hear the adhan. Right. And that's why you see many people may be sitting together silent, and when the adhan starts, they start talking to each other. Why? Because the shaitan whispers them to make them lose their reward. And the same thing with the iqamah. You see them sitting, and once they call the iqamah, whatever topic they open up, whatever, maybe, why they are late, why they are early, what? But it is from the shaitan to make them not to repeat, so that they lose the reward. So from there, the ulama said it is both adhan and iqamah. We are told to repeat after the muaddin because the wording is the same. And in the end, you will say the dua and you get the reward. Allah.
نعم يا شيخ.
Sheikh, is it permissible for one to stick to a particular madhab?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Yes, if he is living in an area where this madhab is very common, and no, when he finds a hadith contradicting with the madhab, and then he abandons the hadith and takes the madhab, that is not acceptable, because that means the madhab to him is more priority than the Prophet's guidance. No. But to say, don't study madhab, that's very ignorance, very nonsense. Because this became very common among the Salafi youth. Say, no, don't study madhab. That's totally incorrect. Totally incorrect. Study with no extremism. Do not exaggerate. Do not stick to the madhab even when the hadith comes. Otherwise, show me. Who can name any scholars to me? Name any scholars. Big scholars. Who talked about fiqh. Yeah.
Ibn Uthaymeen.
Like from today, Ibn Uthaymeen.
الشيخ عبد السلام الشوير.
Abdul Salam Shwaya from the past. Greater than
Imam Malik rahimahullah.
Like, after Malik, between
Ibn
the four.
Taymiyyah.
Okay, Ibn Taymiyyah,
الإمام أحمد.
Imam Ahmad. لا, after the four Imams. Because the Madahib, we're talking about the Madahib. After the four Imams. Okay, you don't know?
ابن حجر العسقلاني.
Sheikh Albani.
Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani is upon what madhab?
الحمد لله.
لا, Shafi'i. Ibn Hajar al-Nawawi Shafi'i. طيب. How many times you find Ibn Hajar in Fath al-Bari mentioning Ahmad and the madhab of al-Awza'i and the madhab of Malik and he's Shafi'i. And how many times you find Nawawi bringing these names? The issue is you study the madhab to understand how the ulama extract the dalil from the verdicts, or the verdicts from the nusus, the dalil of the Quran and Sunnah. Okay, but it doesn't mean you abandon the others. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. So that's why. Okay, from the recent, Sheikh Albani, isn't it? Right? What is the madhab of Sheikh Albani? No, he doesn't have a madhab as a madhab to stick to. But he studied the madhab al-Hanafi. He studied the madhab al-Hanafi. And he takes from Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, Ahmad, Awza'i, Tawri, Layth ibn Sa'd. He mentioned all these names in his books. He brings an issue of fiqh and then he says, قال Layth ibn Sa'd. Layth ibn Sa'd even doesn't have followers. But his opinions are respected. Awza'i, etc. See? So it is good, it is very healthy to study a madhab, especially for the youth. But bearing in mind that do not become extreme in that and refuse the others. Only follow whoever brings you the lead. When the opinion is free of the lead and the others do not present any dalil. Like, let me give you example. Because always with the examples, as Allah said in the Quran, the examples give the understanding clearly. In the issue of women wearing ring golds and bracelets and gold which is made in ring shape, like bracelets and rings. Okay, different opinions of scholars of Al-Sunnah. From the recent, Sheikh Albani says it's haram, right, for women to wear. Now, Sheikh Ibn Baz say it is permissible. These are two great scholars of ours, Salafis, both of them, right? So what we do? We see what they are, what each one is relying upon in regard to this issue. Now, so Sheikh Albani brought his hadith which does not clearly say this is haram. Now, Sheikh Ibn Baz brought a hadith where it does not clearly say this is halal, but it could be understood. Could be understood. Because when, and I will come back to the same issue between Ibn Baz and Fawzan. Okay? Because Fawzan is from the school of Ibn Baz. But I will show you they have differences, but how we gonna go with along. So Sheikh Ibn Baz used this, the hadith of that woman who came with her daughter wearing golden bracelets. And he asked her, do you pay the zakah of this? She said no. He said, do you want Allah to torture you with the fire or put two bristles of fire on your hand on the day of resurrection? Right? Some ulama understood from this that it is not permissible to wear. Some ulama said no, it is permissible to wear, but it is obligatory to give zakah off. You know? Because the threatening now is regarding wearing it or regarding the zakah.
Regarding the zakat.
Because the Prophet ﷺ did not ask her why you wear it.
No.
He asked her, do you give the zakah? Okay. Now we come back to Sheikh, forget about Fawzan, the previous Mufti, Sheikh Ibn Baz, and the existing Mufti, Sheikh Abdul Aziz Sheikh. Okay. Sheikh Ibn Baz says gold which woman wears, or if they own to lend to other women to beautify and then return, they say this is Sheikh, this is Ali Sheikh, I'm sorry, and Fawzan. They say this is exempted from zakah, no zakah. No zakah. Sheikh Ibn Baz and Sheikh Uthaymeen say zakah is on every gold. Regardless, the reason why they have it, the reason why they own it, wearing it, lending it, saving it for some time, no difference. No difference. Like, where is the need? Those who said no zakah, they said the Prophet ﷺ said there is no zakah upon what the person uses for his own, such as clothes, animals that he rides, like your car today. You don't give zakah for your car because you are using it. It's for your own need. Now, the other Sheikh Ibn Baz and Uthaymeen said yes, they have to give out zakah for it. Why? Because Allah said in the Quran, الذين يكنزون الذهب والفضة. The other said, but this is our evidence because يكنزون means those who keep it, save it, not wear it. Like the other said, yeah, but the Prophet ﷺ said to the woman, do you give the zakah of this? If wearing it is not allowed, he would have said to her, why are you wearing it? Exactly like when he saw a man wearing a bracelet of copper and he asked him, what is this? Look at the question. If I ask you, what is this? What's your answer? Phone. But the man didn't answer, say, bracelet. Man said, the reason why he's wearing it. Although the reason, mentioning the reason is not the answer for what. It is for why. Okay? So the man knew that the Prophet ﷺ is asking about the reason behind wearing it, not about what it is made from or of. Okay? So that's why the ulama said, who said that it is permissible to wear and it is mandatory to give zakah. He said the Prophet ﷺ asked her, do you give the zakah of this? So if wearing it is not permissible, the question of giving zakah is not applicable here. The question should be why you are wearing it. Or as he said to the man, what is this? Which means why? Huh? But the question went to totally different angle and clear. Do you give the zakah? Do you give the zakah? Now, so when it is do you give the zakah, it means it's permissible to wear, but at the same time it is obligatory to give zakah. If you wear it, no sin, but if you don't give the zakah, there is a sin. You know what I mean? So that is the yani answer to this question. I know I went a bit far with you, but it leads to the same criteria, how to understand. Did I answer the question? Did I answer it clear? Yeah.
So does the same ruling applies to necklaces and earrings?
Yes, same.
As long as they are good.
Same rule. Same rule.
الساعة الآن
ها؟
الساعة يعني يوجد ساعة
كم الساعة؟
الساعة الثانية
ثانية و23
Oh, الوقت صار. نعم.
Before we go, this is
We
one
have to
point.
prepare.
أيوة.
We have to go through it.
Going back to Claude's question earlier on,
نعم.
there's a common practice here in Sierra Leone because you mentioned the issue regarding minor shirk.
How you know? You are not a Syrian. How you know?
I am a Sierra Leone.
You are
I
British.
got two passports, but I'm a Sierra Leone.
I witnessed in the airport, they did not recognize your passport. It's expired. you are British by passport, Saudi by citizenship, by living.
Now, here in Sierra Leone, just to clarify this point, most people, when they swear, they say, I swear to God and Nabi. This is a common.
How to say it in the language?
I swear to God and Nabi. This is
والله والنبي.
yes. This is one concern. I just wanted to clarify here, to clarify to the brothers there, but mostly they will take it to their families because it's something very common in this country, very common. Whether it's a minor or major shirk, and then on top of that, when again Muta asked the question regarding the class, because some of the imams, especially mostly the ones that live in the provinces, they're imams, but they also do what they call in Sierra, commonly known as al-fama. Is that's the name.
يكتب للناس.
Al-fama.
ايش؟
يكتب
مثل ما يفعل
له
الصوفي
إذا جاء شخص قال بطني يؤلمني يكتب له ويؤتيه
ماذا؟
ويكتب له. هو يقول يأخذ من القرآن ويكتب له التمائم.
طيب تمام طيب. طيب.
Now, just like to clarify this, because the brothers really need to take this to their families.
Right. The Prophet ﷺ, heard some people swearing by the Kaaba and by their fathers. And he said, he whoever is swearing, let him swear by Allah. That makes everything clear. Only by Allah. Only by Allah. Although the people swear by different things. But he, instead of mentioning all these different things, which maybe new things will come later on, like it today. People swear by the food, swear by whatever, by the honor, by whatever. So he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, made it in one direction. He said, he whoever who wants to swear, then he let him swear by Allah. By Allah. Now, clear, خلاص. Whatever swear is not allowed. Why? Because swearing is a worship, and worship should only be for Allah. Right? Whatever else is used for swearing, that is considered to be shirk al-alfaz, which is, could be minor shirk, could be major shirk. It depends on how he looks to this thing that he swore well. If he thinks that the Prophet, as you say, by Allah and the Prophet and Nabi, if he thinks that both deserve this, then that is major shirk. Major shirk. You know what I mean? Because it is an equalization between Allah and others. Regardless who this other is. Prophet, angel, whatever. In regard to what you mentioned about these imams doing alpha.
This is the name they call it.
Yeah, alpha. Yeah. Maybe alpha from the word alif bata like that, because it's right.
What imam, ولكن is like a future fortune teller.
Right.
It gives prediction to what's going to happen.
That is not for. Does he do that?
There are some of them that do that. There are some of them that do that. But
And his imam leads the prayer.
no.
Any one of you pray behind such kind of people?
If we know him, we know pretty highly.
Okay. If anyone, please go make wudu and do again. Salah is invalid. Sure, if he does talismans, then if it is all of Quran, then that is bid'ah. The amulets. If it is all from Quran, then that is bid'ah. If it is from other than Quran, we need to know this other. If it is unreadable and understandable, then that is shirk, because it's using the jinn. Okay? But if it is clear dua like that, we say it's still bid'ah. Why bid'ah? Because neither the Prophet ﷺ nor the Sahaba used to do it. Writing it, hanging it, or writing it and putting it in water and drinking this water. That is not from the way of the Salaf, so it is bid'ah, but not kufr. If he writes anything unreadable, whether he means it or he doesn't, that is shirk. Maybe he says, but I don't mean the jinn, or you mean or you don't mean, that is shirk. Because we cannot know what is in your heart, what is in your mind. We cannot know. Our judgment is upon the action. Allah said, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِ. What is the thing we see? His love or his actions?
His actions.
That's what we judge. You mean it, you don't mean it, up to you. That's I mean, between you and Allah. We cannot know whether you are honest or lying. We cannot know, because this is inside. We are judging only the appearance, okay, which is only actions and sayings, which we can hear, which we can see. Huh? So, if he writes things unreadable, that is shirk. That is shirk. And if he does that, if he does the one with Quran and Sunnah, that is bid'ah, he's not qualified to lead the prayer. He's not qualified to lead the prayer. But we cannot say he's kafir. Right?
No.
If he writes things unreadable, then he is not Muslim any longer. His prayer is not accepted neither for him nor as imam for others. It's not accepted because he committed a nullifier of Islam. Okay? So this must be clear again and again. If he writes things from Quran and Sunnah or even dua, but it's understandable, dua to Allah, not to others, then he is still with the parameter of Islam, but he is Abu Bid'ah. He is unqualified to lead the prayer. Okay? But his prayer is, for him is accepted because it's still within the boundary of Islam. Right? If he writes any unreadable things, then he is out of the parameter of Islam. Neither his prayer for himself nor his leadership of prayer is accepted. People should not pray behind him. Why? Because he committed a nullifier of Islam. Is that clear?
No.
Now, fortune telling, we have only one ruling, one judgment. He's out of Islam. Regardless what he uses, what he means, regardless. Because fortune telling is speaking about the unseen, and Allah told us that unseen is not known but Allah. قل لا يعلم من في السماوات والأرض الغيب إلا الله. إلا الله. So this is one saying. But again, if you think that these people grown up like that and they are not aware of Tawheed, before making any issues, go and speak to them. Give them da'wah, gently, nicely, without labeling, without criticizing, without insulting, without threatening, without gently, nicely. May Allah Ta'ala guide them to the haqq. Nah, wallahu a'lam.
Yes, that's in relation to the same question, Sheikh. Yes, it is common practice in Sierra Leone that people buy decorations of Arabic inscription, like Ayatul Kursi, Qul plus and they put in their houses,
In their cars.
hoping that
Guys,
this
we ask them. This is not only in Sierra Leone. This is common in all Muslim world. All Muslim world. Like we ask them, why you do this? Could take the answers. One says, because of love. I love the Quran. And Rasulullah doesn't love it. Because he didn't do it. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, they don't love it. Because they did not do it. When you claim that, you are criticizing the Prophet and the Sahaba. By a way or another. He says, for protection from the jinn. Who told you that? The Prophet. I said, the Prophet said. But what did he say? Did he say hanging Quran or reading Quran? Reading the Quran. Some of them, not only that, they play the radio on Quran 24 hours in the house to say protection from the jinn. Who told you that? Oh, in the hadith. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, the house in which Surah Al-Baqarah is recited, not played. Now the radio reciting or playing? Playing, big difference. When playing and reciting. Reciting means direct. Because you are worshipping Allah by presenting your heart in this recitation. Now the radio doesn't have any khushu', any, it's a radio. So we say this is an innovation. The first was kind of, serious thing because in it means that the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba do not love the Quran. The second does not go to that extent, but it is still dangerous because it's an innovation. It's an innovation. He got it by his own understanding, which is wrong. And the examples of this, so many. So we say, and some say, oh Allah, ya akhi, instead of putting a picture, I put this for decoration, nice. Say, akhi, this is a disrespect to the Quran. Like you hang the Quran now here. The Prophet ﷺ entered the house of Aisha, in which she needed to put a curtain. But the curtain had a picture on it. So he ﷺ told her that this is not allowed. She teared it. Did she replace it with ayat written on a curtain? No. No, the Prophet ﷺ even didn't tell her, if necessary, then put the Quran. He did not say that. So they understood that the Quran is not for hanging. It's for reading from the Quran, from the book, the Mus'haf. Not to be hung. And some of them, take this, some of them, they buy a mini Mus'haf, like this, and they hang it on the mirrors. Or they bring the normal size Mus'haf and they put it on the
Shelves.
shelves in the house and in the car on the dashboard or in the drawer. Or why? They say, good to have the Quran with you. This is not good. This is not good. Good to read in it, but not to just keep it like that, saying that it brings you the protection or barakah. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. And some writes on their cars or on the door, board or whatever, there's some ayat. They write some ayat, like ikhlas, and they say it's a protection from hasad, or protection of this, protection of that, or bringing the barakah, or all that is nonsense. All that is nonsense. And some say we write it as a reminder. Some, but maybe Ali saw that in Saudi, they put a board saying, Ya dakhil ad-dar salli ala al-nabi al-mukhtar. Oh, you who is entering now the house, give salah upon the Prophet ﷺ would say. Say, why are you doing this? Oh, just to remind them. The Prophet ﷺ didn't do it. You go to the masjid, many masajid in Saudi, decoration all around, especially on top of the mihrab. كلما دخل عليها زكريا المحراب وجد عندها رزق. This is wrong. Wrong in the meaning and understanding, and it is wrong in the practicing. The Prophet ﷺ didn't put it on his masjid. And wrong in understanding, because the mihrab of Zakaria is not this mihrab. That mihrab is totally different. Totally different. Now, so it is lack of understanding and wrong in practicing. So these all, and the best thing is stick to the way of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba. That's the only way. طيب, one question. Allah is pleased with which generation the most? Huh?
Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam.
The Prophet ﷺ and his companions, right? Allah is pleased with them more than any other generations after them, right? Like, why don't we go with the characteristics of that generation so Allah love us? Allah didn't love them because of history, the date. No, Allah loved them because of their characteristics, how they were upon. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, when he mentioned the division of the ummah, which will start in his time or after his time? After his time. After his time. The division of the ummah started after his time, and he said it will start after his time. He said, خير الناس قرن ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. Now, so the division happened after him, right? And he, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, mentioned to us how to bring our generation, even if it is after 14, 20 centuries, back to that generation which Allah loves the most. He said, "Man kana ala mithli ma ana alayhi al-yawma wa ashabi." Whoever is upon what I am upon today are my companions. See, it is not what I am upon today in lifestyle. La la. Yani, it is not because you ride a car, then you are not like that generation because they used to ride animals. La la, it's not like that. It's not like that. But it is on their way of seeking nearness with Allah by worship. If you worship Allah exactly like how they did, then you are of them, even if you are centuries after their time. What is the proof of that? This hadith and from the Quran is the ayah of Surah Al-Waqi'ah. When Allah Ta'ala mentioned السابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون في جنات النعيم.
ثلة من الأولين وقليل من الآخرين.
ما معنى ثلة? What is the meaning of ثلة? Majority of them is from أولين, foremost, meaning the Sahaba. قليل من الآخرين, it means it will remain, but it would go less. Why? Because sticking to what the Sahaba were upon is hard. See today, 1.6 billion around the world, Muslims. How many of them sticking to what the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba were upon? You cannot even see by binoculars. You need a dot and many zeros so you can reach the percentage. You know what I mean?
No.
Because today people just do what they find the people doing. What they find the people doing. And they think it is good. They think it is good, you know? And the shaitan is deceiving. May Allah Ta'ala protect us all from innovation, from shirk, and from sinning. And may Allah Ta'ala guide us and others to that which He, Allah Ta'ala, likes. Wallahu a'lam, sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala sahbihi. I'm very sorry, time is very tight. I have to go.
جزاكم الله خيرا بارك الله فيكم.
And again, معلش, the answer